Welcome to the Crypto Ledger. Today we're talking about something big brewing in the crypto world. Russia is hitting the reset button on its digital asset rules, and it's all going down in 2026. Now, this isn't just some minor tweak. We're talking about a strategic playbook that could send shockwaves across the globe.
So you've got to be asking, right? Why the radical overhaul? And why now? Well, to really wrap our heads around it, we need to look at who used to have a seat at the table in Russia's crypto market and who's getting invited to the party now.
Okay, let's dive right into the nitty-gritty. Section 1, what are these new rules actually going to look like? We're going to see how Russia is moving away from this exclusive, almost secret club to a much more organized, tiered system.
So for years, Russia's crypto scene was basically a velvet rope club. You wanted in, you had to be part of this Superqual regime, which is just a fancy way of saying you had to be incredibly wealthy. It was a closed shop, plain and simple, and it meant the average person was completely locked out.
But come 2026, that's all getting tossed out the window. Russia is tearing up that old, wealth-based playbook. Instead, they're rolling out a new tiered framework that opens the doors for everyone, from everyday retail investors to the big institutional players. And here's the real kicker, it's not about the size of your bank account anymore. It's about what you know.
So, if you're a regular investor, what does this mean for you? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. The good news? The door is finally open. The catch? There are some new hoops to jump through. You've got to pass a knowledge test, there's a cap on how much you can transact each year, you can only use verified exchanges, and yep, you guessed it, you got to declare it all for taxes.
And let's talk about that cap. We're looking at 300,000 rubles a year for non-qualified folks, which is roughly $3,250 US. Now, this is no accident. It looks like a really deliberate play by the Bank of Russia to put up some guardrails, you know? They want to shield retail investors from the wild swings of crypto while still letting them get a foot in the door.
But here's where things get really interesting. While the little guy has a cap, the qualified investors and big institutions, they get an all-access pass. No limits. This is a massive green light, signaling that Russia is rolling out the red carpet for serious institutional capital. And it's not just talk. Huge banks like VTB and Sberbank are already building the plumbing, the custody solutions to handle this incoming flood of money.
Now don't get the wrong idea. This new openness has some very hard lines drawn in the sand. The state is making one thing crystal clear. Anonymity is a no-go. Privacy coins, think Monero, Zcash, they're completely off the table. Prohibited. It's a perfect example of how Russia is trying to have its cake and eat it too. Open the markets, but keep a firm grip on the reins. Did you know that 80% of the people who watch the Crypto Ledger videos are not subscribed? Please help us with your subscription to continue uploading more valuable information and reach more people.
All right, let's pull back for a second and look at the bigger picture. How does all this plug into Russia's grand national strategy? Because make no mistake, this isn't some random shot in the dark. This is a highly calculated move, and it's got some very specific goals in mind.
When you boil it all down, Russia is walking a tightrope here with two big objectives. On one side, they want to throw the doors open, right? Expand the market, spark some innovation, and pull more capital into their digital economy. But on the other side, they're determined to keep an iron grip on financial control. It's a super delicate balancing act. So how do they pull that off? How do they maintain control? Well, it all comes down to the classics, AML and KYC. Anti-money laundering and know your customer. They're making it mandatory for every single verified exchange to basically have a full dossier on their users, verifying identities, tracking transactions. This gives the regulators a perfect bird's-eye view of everything that's happened.
And for the big institutions inside Russia, this is way more than just a new toy for their portfolio. You have to remember, we're talking about an economy under heavy sanctions. For them, crypto has emerged as a critical lifeline, a way to hedge against massive geopolitical risk and the shaky ruble. What we saw in 2022 was a huge wake-up call. Crypto isn't just an investment anymore, it's becoming a strategic national asset.
Okay, so none of this is happening in a bubble, right? It's time to zoom out again and look at the world map. Because what Russia is doing is actually just one piece of a much larger global puzzle that's completely redrawing the lines of the digital asset world.
And it's fascinating when you start comparing the why behind these different regulations. You look at the European Union's MiCA framework, and it's all about playing nice, market integrity, consumer protection. But then you look at Russia, and it's a totally different ballgame. Their goal seems laser-focused on using crypto as a shield, a strategic tool for geopolitical and economic defense.
So Russia's 2026 plan isn't some outlier.
It's the latest domino to fall in this global race to regulate crypto. From the EU's big MiCA framework in 2023 to Singapore's stablecoin rules in 2024, everyone is building their own regulatory fortress. They're all drawing up their own unique blueprints for how digital assets will work inside their walls.
All right, final section. Let's bring it all back home. What does this all mean for you, the investor? It's time for the playbook. We're going to break down the risks, the rewards, and where the real opportunities for alpha might be hiding.
Look, for any sharp investor out there, this is a textbook risk-reward play. On the one hand, you've got some serious risks: geopolitical drama, the chance that regulators could change their minds overnight, and friction moving money across borders. But on the other side of the coin, the reward could be huge. We're talking about a serious first-mover advantage, getting in on the ground floor and snapping up potentially undervalued assets in a market that's just opening up.
So what does that look like in practice? Well, some real concrete opportunities could be on the horizon. Think about investing in the companies building that new custody infrastructure, like the services from VTB and Sberbank. Or maybe getting early access to some of the local Russian crypto exchanges that might be undervalued right now. There are even potential niche plays in areas like cross-border trade finance or tokenized assets in sectors that are shielded from sanctions.
At the end of the day, Russia's big move is just one chapter in a much larger story. It's a wake-up call for investors everywhere to think bigger, to think globally, and to think strategically. We're watching nations around the world build these unique crypto fortresses, each with its own rulebook. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. In this new fragmented world, where is the smart money going to go next? The Crypto Ledger disclaimer. The information presented in the summary is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or any other type of advice. The Crypto Ledger is not responsible for the decisions you make based on this content. Always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decision. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets are inherently volatile and carry a high level of risk.